I've just bought my first vials of sperm.
This is my uterus. Look at that! I feel like I'm driving myself slightly insane.
What a mess. I'm literally shaking. And I'm in the 1% where they didn't work.
That freaking hurt.
This is weird. All jabbed and done. So I'm actually really gutted. I guess it's real now. So it is Monday the 15th of November today, and I have made the first steps towards this journey of becoming a single parent via sperm donor. So this morning I called my GP surgery. Where I live, you have to call at like 8:30 in the morning to get an appointment for on the day, and you can't really book in advance unless you wait like 2 weeks. So I was on the phone at 8:30, like repeatedly trying to get through because the line is always busy in the morning, and eventually got through and was able to book the appointment. And they basically said because of COVID they're not doing face-to-face appointments, it's only on the phone. So I had a phone consultation with the doctor. They said they just call in the morning, which they did. So I spoke to the doctor that called me this morning, and I basically explained that I'm single and I'm hoping to go to conceive via IUI using a sperm donor, and I'd like to get a referral to the local ACU, which is the assisted conception unit. And I wasn't really sure what to expect with the conversation, whether she would just refer me straight away or whether anything she needs to do. And it turns out there is a blood test they need to do first. So I need to come off my pill. I'm still currently taking my Cerazette pill. This is to stop my periods because I have adenomyosis, which makes my periods excruciatingly painful. So I need to come off of that because I need to do a cycle day 21 blood test to test if I'm ovulating and also all the other hormones in my body. So she recommended that I come off that, give it a month for everything to reset and settle down, and then call them up the next month. So that's what I'm going to do. I actually have a holiday this week coming up. It's Monday, as I said before. So on Thursday we're leaving to go to Gran Canaria for about 4 nights, and then we're coming back on the Monday. So this packet of pills actually finishes this coming Sunday. So I think I'll finish off this packet, and then on the Monday I just won't take the pill in the morning. I should be fine because I've had one day where I accidentally forgot to take the pill and I was fine. I didn't start my period or anything straight away. So I think I'm gonna stop it on Monday. So this could be my last pack of pills for a while. So I need to have that blood test. The other thing she talked to me about was I aware of like the NHS funding side of things? And I said, well, I looked at the local CCG, which is the Clinical Commission Group website, because every area has a different one, and it said they don't routinely fund this treatment for single women. And I said what I hadn't worked out though is because I have been diagnosed with adenomyosis, which makes my periods painful and often ends up with a hysterectomy, whether I would be able to get funding because of that medical condition, because in some cases the doctor or the gynecologist who's treating you can make an application for funding. She didn't really say anything about that, but it did turn out they don't have my adenomyosis diagnosis. That rhymes. The letter that my gynecologist wrote basically saying that this is what he diagnosed me with, they don't have that at my GP for some reason. So I have just dug it out from my computer. I'm going to email it across to them now so they have that and they can start the referral process. But yeah, this is quite exciting. Things are actually now starting to happen, which is really exciting. So I'm pretty sure this is going to take a long time. It's going to be quite a process to go through, but fingers crossed we are now on the path to getting there.
So it is Sunday the 21st of November, and I'm about to take my final pill, and then we'll see what happens over the next few days.
So today is January 3rd, 2022, and I realised I probably needed to film a little bit of an update on here because quite a few things have changed since the last clip. So initially I was intending to come off my pill when I was on holiday to take my last packet. However, that weekend that I was coming off the pill, I started to get like a bit of a sore throat. Ended up being a really nasty cold. Don't think it was COVID. I did some tests and they came back negative. But I had a horrible cold that week. And when we came back, so the last pill I took was on the Sunday. I think we flew back on the Monday or something like that. Anyway, we definitely flew back the day after my last pill. And by the time we got home in the evening, I was feeling pretty grim. And I went to bed and I started shaking a bit, and I was like, I think I'm worried about getting my period and feeling sick. So I decided I would actually take another pill. So I started a new packet and did take another pill. And then I realized that December was actually pretty busy for me and it wasn't a good time to get my period either at any point. So I just thought, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to take my pill for another month, and then on New Year's Eve, I will take my last pill and that'll be that. So that's what I did. So on New Year's Eve, 31st of December 2021, I took my last pill at the normal time in the morning at 10 a.m. and I haven't taken another one since. And it was really, really difficult the first and second day after I stopped taking it, much harder than I thought it was going to be, because I was really worried about, you know, getting my period back and everything. I am still terrified of getting my period back, but I have now stopped it and I'm starting to do ovulation tests. So it'll be interesting to see how long after coming off the pill it takes to get a positive ovulation test. But I have already noticed that my hormones, on the tests at least, have started to decrease already, having not had it in. So today's the third day I haven't taken a pill. I guess we'll see. But if I want to get this blood test done on my 21st day of my cycle, I need to get going. So I figured it's now or never, and I don't currently have any little ones I'm fostering, so it's now. Okay, so it's the 12th of January today, and it's about 11 o'clock in the evening. It's 12 days since I stopped taking the pill, and something pretty bizarre just happened to me. If you're squeamish, you might not want to watch this section. You might want to skip ahead for a couple of minutes. But basically, I was sitting in bed. I'm just in my pajamas. I had my pajama bottoms on. Wasn't wearing any underwear because I've just had a bath and I wanted to let everything, you know, breathe a bit. And I was feeling a bit damp, and I thought, oh, I wonder if my period started, or wonder if I'm just, you know, it's just like water droplets, what have you. Anyway, I took my pajama pants, trousers off, and just reached down to feel if it was a bit wet or anything. And I felt this like something like bulging out my vagina, and I thought, oh my god, is that like a clot or something, a blood clot? Anyway, there wasn't any blood, but I just reached down and anyway ended up pulling it out. And I've never experienced this before. It's a little bit gross, but this is what came out my vagina. Like, look at the size of that. Like, I'm trying to hold it in this tissue. Don't want it to fall on my bed or anything. Like, look at it. Look how massive that is. It's like a huge, but it's not. This is like, this kind of consistency is normally what I'd expect around the time when I ovulated, when I'm not on the pill. I took an ovulation test this morning and it was still negative. Well, like the line, so the two lines, they were getting closer to being the same colour. And then I did a clear blue digital ovulation test, but that came back without a smiley face either. Like still smiley face or flashing smiley face, which means my estrogen hasn't peaked or my LH. But this is like, I have never had anything like this before. I've had small little bits, but this is huge. And I've been cramping all day today and pretty much all of yesterday, and last night I had really bad cramps as well. I've had to take Nurofen, so pretty much the last 3 days I've been cramping on and off, or like a low level non-stop. It's been really uncomfortable and it's been really freaking me out actually about coming off the pill and thinking, oh my god, am I making a huge mistake? But then this, like, this is weird. I don't know what this is, but hopefully my period will at some point start, or I ovulate, or something will happen. But yeah, just a heads up, this can happen. So the light in this bathroom is kind of rubbish. It's sort of, I think it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Of course, it's January, so it's winter. But I got some exciting news. So this morning I tested again for my ovulation. I've been testing every day since the second day I came off my pill, which was the 2nd of January. And I've had like a mixture of some looking like they might be positive and some very negative. And so I've been using these little cheapy tests to do that. And this morning I was really annoyed actually because I forgot to pee in a cup when I first woke up this morning. So I had to use my second morning urine, which isn't as potent, but sometimes works better for ovulation. Anyway, so the first test I took this morning was this one. And as you can see, like those two lines, they looked pretty similar in colour to me. So I thought, well, I ended up taking it and then I forgot about it for like an hour. So I came back and saw it when it was already dry like it is now. So I kept the urine from this morning, so I didn't, in case this was positive and I needed to take another one. So I then took another one which looks like this. So this is the one I've taken. This one is still fresh. So you can see those lines are very much similar in colour, which I was thinking, okay, it looks like it's getting much closer to ovulation. So I thought, well, as they're so close, I'm going to take a digital, one of the little clear blue ones, and I got a smiley face! Look at that! Got a smiley face. Not even like a flashing smiley face saying you're about to ovulate, you're about to have your LH surge. Like an actual solid smiley face. So I'm really, really stoked. It is January 16th today. So I think it's the 12th that I got that thick clump.
of cervical mucus from? This is like a really weird angle, hang on.
Yeah, it was the evening of the 12th that I got that kind of like clump of cervical mucus. So it's 4 days afterwards. I said I've been testing every day, not had a positive test since then. But now I've got my little smiley face. I've never been so pleased to see this thing, honestly. I was so worried that it was going to take like months and months and months to start ovulating again or get any sort of sense of my cycle back. But this looks like this is a positive step. Obviously we don't know yet, but this is a positive step. So I'd be really interested to see how long it takes after getting this thing to get my period back. Because beforehand, normally it would be, so 14 days to ovulation. So when I ovulate on the 14th day, I get my period on the 28th day, like I was really regular, so 2 weeks later. So we'll see what happens with this one. But yes, really exciting. Sorry about the fan you can hear in the background, but I just want to come on and say it's now the evening of the 16th of January, and if I hadn't had that positive ovulation test this morning, I would have been stunned, because the pain in my hip right now is major. This is pretty normal for me. When I ovulated before I went on the pill, I'd get like aching pain, like it's almost like trapped gas kind of feeling, I guess, in one of my hips, either my left or my right, and this month it is my left. It's been twinging for like the last week, just little bits, but nothing major. But tonight, oh my goodness, it is like letting me know that it's doing something. So yeah, I think that ovulation test was accurate. So it is the 20th of January today, and I've got quite a few things to update on actually. So after my last clip, which I think was when I was ovulating on the 16th, which was Sunday, it's Thursday today, I made a big decision, which was to start looking at going down the private route. I'd always known that this was probably the most likely way I'd go, but I was trying to go down the NHS route first. However, what I hadn't anticipated was just how difficult it would be for me to come off the pill, like mentally. So I stopped taking my pill on the 31st of December, and every single night that I didn't take it, I would, like, in the day I was kind of okay, I wasn't so worried, but at night time I just had this fear. I'm still dealing with this a bit, like each night I'm like, oh my god, I'm making the right decision, is this the right thing? No, I should just stop this, should stop everything. In the day I'm fine, but nighttime, my brain is like, it's just crazy. So coming off the pill, like I was terrified of my period. I'm still really worried about getting my period, but I was really terrified the first 2 weeks. After I ovulated, I felt a little bit better, but that fear made me realise that actually, I know my period's still going to be pretty bad, and I want to have as few periods as possible before starting treatment. And if I went down the NHS route, I might be waiting months just to get a consultation with a doctor, let alone starting treatment. So I think for me, it's just going to be too long. I haven't stopped that route, but I decided I was going to take action, and I was going to start looking into the private route and to see how long it would take that way, what the sort of costs, well, I mean, I already knew what the costs were. I'd kind of worked it out before I went into this route, into this journey. But on Monday this week, I decided to book an appointment with one of the local clinics that I'd seen. I did a lot of research, and I kind of liked the reviews that I read on this. It's really difficult when looking for a clinic, because there's so, like, every clinic you find, some people rave about it and some people have really negative reviews, so it's kind of impossible to like really find the best, if there is such a thing. But this one was kind of like not too far away from me, and it's somewhere I can drive to, which was really important, because I didn't want to just be having to take public transport if it was in like central London. So I've decided to book an initial consultation, which also comes with a ultrasound scan, a 3D vaginal ultrasound scan, and I'm having the scan done today. So I booked it on Monday, booked the scan for today, and then the consultation will be on next Monday, so in 3-4 days time. And at that consultation, the doctor will go through the results of this scan, and if there's anything, so the scan basically is to check your reproductive system, if there's any obvious reason why you might have trouble conceiving, and then I'll speak to the doctor on Monday about it. So super exciting. I'm really excited. I'm also really nervous for today. It's like the first big step forwards that I'm taking, but I'm so excited to be getting going. I'm saying excited a lot, I know, but it's true. You know, it's a big step, and I'm hopeful that everything's gonna go okay. Not sure if anything is more awkward than sitting next to this machine with your lap covered and nothing underneath, but about to do a scan. So back from my scan, all looks good, which is really great. So the doctor that did the scan on me, he asked me a few questions first of all about, you know, what was I wanting to do, you know, why I came to see them and everything, and took me through the scan, asked me if I'd had one before, and I said yes. And then he went out the room, got me to take my clothes off from my body half and to get ready on the sort of bed with the stirrups, and gave me like a little sheet to cover myself with. Then he came in with another nurse to kind of chaperone, which I thought was really good. I think it's good that they did that. And then, you know, just told me he was going to start the procedure, and he went in with the probe. And it's been a while since I've had one of these, and I was a bit nervous because I was like, I don't remember it hurting as such, but you don't really know what to expect. But I kind of forgotten like what it felt like. Anyway, it was absolutely fine. It's like, it's not pleasant, like you wouldn't choose to do that, and it's mildly uncomfortable at points, but it certainly didn't hurt. So I was a bit relieved once it was in. I was like, oh, okay, I'd forgot this was all it felt like. It just feels a bit weird, really. So what they were doing was they were basically having a look around all the parts of my reproductive system, so my uterus, the structure of it, the lining, and my ovaries, and looking at the blood flow to all those areas too. So it's really interesting because I haven't had this before, where they've actually use the Doppler to play like the sound of the blood flow, which sounds kind of like a heartbeat, like boom, 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 but it's slower than a heartbeat. Anyway, the result of that was that the blood flow to both sides of my uterus and both my ovaries was really good, and I was correct. I did ovulate from my left hip. He was able to see like the follicle was really wide. So he first of all checked my right ovary. After he'd done my uterus, he checked my right ovary and counted 18 follicles. A good number is 12, so 18 was a high reserve, which is slightly polycystic, he said, but for someone my age, that was kind of considered normal. It wasn't a worrying figure, and my periods are very regular anyway, so that was good. And then on my left ovary, he could see 8 follicles, although there was obviously one giant follicle because I just ovulated, so it was very wide and it had just released the egg. And there was a little bit of fluid around it because it had ruptured, because I think that's what the pain was, because it was quite sore actually when I ovulated this time. So that was probably why. But he said he reckons I ovulated around Monday, Tuesday, which would tie in with when I got like the pain and the positive test. So that was good to know. Oh, he did also warn me at the beginning that because I had just come off my pill, because he asked me when my last period was, and I was like, I haven't had one yet since I came off. So he did just say I might not be able to see the uterus lining if it's not built up, etc. But it has actually built up. So it does look like I'm going to get my period when I kind of expect to, which is around the end of this month. So that was good to see as well. It was good to kind of be able to see that everything was sort of going back to how it should, which was a huge relief. But yeah, in general, all looks good. There's nothing obvious right now, which would be something that would stop me from conceiving. So that was the main point of today's scan. So that was a huge relief to see that my egg over it. He said the number of follicles gives him a sense of ovarian reserve. He did also offer to do an AMH test for me, but he said he didn't really think it's necessary because he'd counted the follicles and that was a good number. And also for someone my age, AMH shouldn't be an issue yet. So I decided actually I'm not going to do that. It is also a test I could get on the NHS, and it would have cost me just over £100 to have it done today. They did offer to do it today at the clinic, but I decided I wasn't going to do that because I'm not particularly worried about my eggs as such for conception. It was more about like the structural things. So having had that scan, that's made me feel better that this might be able to work. So it was just so good to see that my body has been able to do something right, so that's great. So today was only the scan, not a consultation. That's for Monday, but I did get to quickly ask him a few questions at the end, and one of the things I said was, you know, I obviously asked him, does it all look normal? He said, yeah, all looks really good. And I said, you know, that's really relief because I'm hoping to go through IUI. And he was like, yeah, there's nothing that right now we can see that would stop that happening. So the only things I'll need to do before going through IUI is I have to have a hycosis test, which is where they basically pump dye into your uterus to check that your fallopian tubes are open and not blocked, which is really important because if you've got a blocked fallopian tube, the egg can't get to your uterus, so therefore you can't get pregnant with that particular egg. And I also have to be immunised against rubella, which was interesting. I'm not entirely sure why that is. I'm sure I'll find out, but I've had my MMR jab when I was a kid anyway, so that's all good to go. So now we just have to wait for Monday and see what the other consultant says. It won't be the same doctor. The clinic I chose to go to doesn't have, you don't have the same consultant seeing you each time. That is something they say, but that's one of the ways that they keep the prices down. And at the moment, going through IUI, I was thinking, I don't feel like I need the same consultant that desperately. If I was doing IVF, it might be something that I'd be a bit more concerned about, but for the time being, I just want to kind of make this as cost effective as possible, but done as well as possible. So for right now, that was something I was personally comfortable with. But if IUI doesn't work later down the line, and I have to look at IVF, I may consider changing depending on how I feel. I don't know, but Monday will be a different consultant who I speak to, so it'll be interesting to see what they say then. So it is the 24th of January today, and I just had my initial consultation with the doctor. As I expected, it was a different one from the one in my scan, but she was really, really nice. Obviously, it was saying, you're young and everything, but I talked about, running my business since I was 15, and I'm a foster carer and other stuff, and she's like, I think you're very suitable to make this decision, and other, just generally lots of stuff. Then she ran through the process of what's going to happen. So in terms of how the IUI works, and the fact that they need to next check my tubes with the Hycosi scan, which, as I said before, the gynecologist I saw on Thursday last week told me as well. So I kind of knew that was coming. And then so that was basically it. And she told me like the next steps of needing to buy the sperm, which is what I didn't realise was going to happen so soon. But now I should be expecting at some point an email to come into my account. I got changed, by the way, as soon as I came off this call, because I got all like dressed up to look nice in a long sleeve top, and I didn't realise I was sweating afterwards. So I had I don't sweat very often, but I think this is partly because I'm coming off my pill. This is one of the symptoms. I had sweat patches under my arms, so I had to change. I just threw on my pajamas because why not? I've got nothing else to do today. I digress. So anyway, so I spoke to her. She had some slides and templates. It was a Zoom call where she kind of showed me the whole process and stuff, and was checking that how I worked from home, because you need to be COVID safe doing this. They're all still sticking to COVID rules, so that was fine as well, which is good. So yeah, basically she kind of talked through like the treatment plan, and essentially the earliest time I can start IUI treatment, have my first IUI procedure, will be in March if everything goes to plan. So right now I have to wait for my period to start, which is probably around Sunday. Then I have to call up the clinic, and they have to put me in for my Hycosi scan somewhere around day 6 to 7 of my period. Then I have to have a blood test done to check like HIV, hepatitis, all those sorts of things. This is a mandatory thing they have to do, and it's valid for 3 months. They do it close to the transfer as possible. So, sorry, transfer? It's not a transfer, it's not IVF. I don't know what you call it, the insemination? Before the procedure anyway, they want to do it close to that. And then after that, I have 7 days before my period is due, the nurse consultation, and that's where they run me through the procedure and when I need to start coming in for scans from my next period. So it's going to be kind of really monitored. Now I don't have to, they also give me a rundown of the costs. So once the doctor finished her bit, she brought the patient coordinator. She brought in the patient coordinator who's going to be my patient coordinator, and she basically explained to me what the process was, and like in terms of what steps they're going to do as well, like the doctor did, but also gave me the breakdown in cost. One of the things I talked to her about was the sperm, because the doctor recommended buying 3 ampules, kind of like 3 vials of sperm, because they want to do 3 rounds of IUI before they next put me into a doctor. If I don't get pregnant with those 3 rounds of IUI, they'll want to look into why isn't that happening? Maybe there's something else going on. And I wanted to check with the patient coordinator what happens if I buy 3 vials and then say get pregnant on the first or the second try, and I don't need the second or third one. And she said that basically the clinic I'm using has their own sperm bank. It's kind of small, but they have their own sperm bank. And if I use one of their sperm donors, then they'll just refund me the difference. If I use an external bank, however, then they're not sure. It depends what the bank's own policies are. So hopefully today I'm going to get an email and I can go start sperm shopping. Never thought I'd say that. And if nothing is suitable in the sperm bank from the clinic, then I will have to go and look elsewhere, and I'll have to call them up and see what their policies are, because then I might decide to buy it kind of one at a time. But the important thing is they have to be in the clinic before treatment starts, or they won't start my treatment. So quite a lot to take in today. The patient coordinator did say she was going to write it all down on a piece of paper in an email for me and send that over, which I'm quite pleased about. But this was kind of like the first major step. So fingers crossed, the next step, which is having my Hycosi scan, goes well, because if one or both of my tubes are blocked, then we're going to have to start thinking about something else. I'm not sure what happens at that point. I guess they just move straight to IVF or time it to alternate cycles. I don't know. It depends what the doctor decides. But hopefully, as long as that scan's clear, then we're good to go. But I have now got like a rough timing of how it's going to go and what next steps are. So I'm really pleased about that.